So hello everyone and welcome to another series of TGB2 Racing. We are here for season 33. We're kicking off tonight, first two rounds of the season with Australia, the Albert Park circuit, and Brazil, the Autodromo Jose Carlos Pache in Sao Paulo. I'm joined in the commentary box tonight by Dan the Man. So how are you doing tonight, Dan?
Good evening, Owen. Yeah, I'm doing good. Looking forward to another close season of TGP2. Always, in my opinion, the most exciting online racing league. Always seems to throw up really close, entertaining racing. And as we can see already, this qualifying session is looking pretty close. I'm just wondering where Lewis Craig's going to go here around the final corner. As he's about to pass the line, will he go onto pole position? He does, just by a 10 over Chris Johnson. But as I say, very close, top five, separated by 8/10, is it? Yeah.
Yep, it's at 18.8 he's just gone on to pole, and it is by a small margin indeed, as it's about 10th and a half he's got over Chris Johnson. Wet Lemon's currently sitting in third in the session in his Ferrari, and we've got Sayer Sports in fourth and F1 Bazza rounding out the top five. So we've got about 6 minutes to go left in this qualifying session, as we're having a little bit of a lull in the session, ready for everyone to go for these final runs. But Dan, who do you think are going to be the main contenders this season?
Well, I mean, it's so difficult to call, especially with it being such a long time since obviously we were last racing. But I suppose you'd have to look at the likes of Wheelnut and Jack Craig, Lewis Craig. I'm sure they'll be up there. Jacko as well, you would expect to be up there, despite the fact that he's actually already crashed out of this qualifying session, crashed a bit earlier on. Coop Cannon as well, maybe, if he can find this form that he once had, I'm sure he'll be right up there as well. So yeah, it's always difficult to tell until we get really a few rounds into the season to fully judge who's going to be fighting for the title in TGP2. But I'd say they're the early contenders at the minute.
Yes, as we see Jack Craig on an out lap, we see Matt Shepherd just about to start a flying lap as well. These couple of guys lower down the field, we've got Neljak, I think, is on an out lap or a flying lap. We'll see when we get his sector 2 time. Now, yeah, he's on an out lap, or at least a warm-up lap. Jack Craig into the pits. So Matt Shepherd, I think, is the only one really on a flying lap at the moment. So as he heads in towards this first corner here at the Albert Park circuit, and take us quickly round a lap of this circuit on board with M-Shep.
Then so here we go, then looking down to turn 3, which has obviously been changed slightly for this season on the game. He turned himself in there, now to half the stuff. You can go flat out through here if you're brave. Jeff just comes off the throttle ever so slightly, and then in this corner we just have to give it absolute full commitment, and you can make up so much time. So in practice then there, and Jeff has not done that. And then now, of course, this is just a straight these days, just building up, getting ready now for the super fast retain where you do not want to spin. You have to get your braking point exactly spot on, the perfect line through the corner, brake right now, turn it in. Oh, he's missed the apex there. Oh, and again. Oh, and he's gone wide. That's lost an absolute heap of time, and I think he's probably going to have to go against that one more lap, as then this corner has been just slightly a bit more now. He's under the right from there, go through this right hander, and again so much understeer as he gets the card in. The final couple of corners, this horrible left hander, and then the final corner, car really wants to spin on you, but it doesn't for Chef this time round, and he deploys the DRS. We'll see if he improves, even though he did lose a bit of time. Yeah, he goes into 11th, but I mean, he lost so much time through that middle sector, as we saw.
Yeah, he looked like he was driving a canal boat rather than an F1 car at some points on that lap. It really looked like he was struggling. As you see, Sayer Sports currently P5 in the session, just starting a flying lap. He goes through turns 1 and 2 now. Very tricky couple of corners, isn't it, Dan, those first couple?
It is indeed, yeah. And again, it's another corner really where you have to try to take as much care as possible, but especially on the exit. But if you do it a little bit too much, you'll go too wide, and it will be a corner, because it's such a fine line between getting it right and getting it very wrong. Sayer Sports almost getting it very wrong there, nearly losing the car. If he gets away with it, he's 2/10 up at the moment.
Oh, he's invalidated.
Has he invalidated? Yes, he has.
Yeah, unfortunately, that is invalidated for Mr. Sayer Sports, so he's going to be backing out of that lap and going again, as we see drivers getting ready to go for their final runs in this session. Here we've got Mike Noon out on the out lap. Blair Grills, I think, is out on a flying lap. We'll have to wait and see. Is he
Blair Grills is on a lap, yeah.
Oh, and he's pinned it. That is, just as we were saying, he was on a lap. He goes round that tricky turn 5 and loses the back end and spears into the wall, and that is his qualifying session over. As we see what drivers are out on flying laps. We've got Wilder currently P2 in this session, just going out for starting a flying lap now in his Mercedes, heading towards turns 1 and 2.
Yeah, everyone building up now, getting ready for the final chance to get a lap in, and we'll see who can improve and who fails to make their mark in this first qualifying session of the season. I think we just want to see what Wheelock's first second is going to be. It looks like a pretty tidy lap so far. He's only got about 10 knots. Oh, he's gone wide and he's going to do a Blair Girls. Oh, he isn't off the session, but he is in the wall, and his qualifying session is now pretty much over.
Yeah, so that's the end of him for this session with a competitive time. Sayer Sports going again. He's also on a flying lap in that McLaren. What's his first sector? He's currently gone 2 tenths quicker as I see Wheeled Up retire from the session. So is anyone really going to challenge Lewis Craig at the top? He's just coming up to start a flying lap now. So Sayer Sports will be the first of the big hitters to go for a flying lap and cross the line. Dan.
Yeah, we've still got the likes of Matt Lemons and Chris Johnson who are on out laps as well, so we'll have those to come towards the end of the session. Sayer Sports again wide there through the second part of the chicane. We'll have lost a bit of time, and in fact he's slowed down and backed right off. Now, is he going to try and back off? Has he got fuel? Can he get the battery back up to maybe go for one more lap?
We've got Neljak just behind.
Battery, though.
Yeah, we've got Neljak just behind. He's also on a flying lap. This will be his last lap of the session. He runs very wide coming out of turn 14, but he's got a couple of corners to go, Dan.
He has indeed. Neljak then. Let's see if he can get a good exit round here. Don't want to be so gentle on the throttle as you go around that final corner. Across the line, he's bound to improve. Will it be pole? Yes, it will.
Yes, it will. Very good lap from Neljak. He's taken provisional pole off Lewis Craig. Let's see what the Red Bull driver can do as he comes through this middle sector, this 9 and 10 sweeping section, completely flat out into this new layout and in towards the 11-12 chicane, which is very much a trickier prospect. And he's 2 tenths up in sector 2.
Sorry, I was just watching the end of Baz's lap there. I thought he was going to improve by quite a considerable margin. He improved by 4 tenths, but only moved up 1 position. Lewis Craig, he's still watching his lap time. Let's see what he can do.
Yeah, as we see him go through turn 14 now, he's just got 15 and 16 to go. Tricky 15, one of the slowest corners on the circuit. And then 16 is probably the trickiest corner on the circuit. You want to put the power down, you want to get the throttle on as early as you can, but you're feathering all the way around. And what's he going to do? He's got on provisional pole with an 18.3. He blows everyone else out the water. We've got Chris Johnson coming up. He's invalidated that lap. So it's just wet lemons.
Wet Lemons, we've got Sayer Sports as well, and also Jack Craig pushing. But Wet Lemons is going to be the first one. Let's see if he can get anywhere near that brilliant lap time by Lewis Craig. He goes into third.
18.8, just Sayer Sports next up on the road. Let's see what he can do. Of course, got Mike Noon as well, just a little bit further up the road. He could be a threat potentially as well, but we're going to keep an eye on Sayer Sports as he goes round the penultimate corner and through the final corner now. What's he going to do? I don't think he's improved, Mike Noon. No, he hasn't. He's going to stay on the 19.9. And Sayer Sports hasn't improved either, so that'll be him done. Where's Jack Craig? He's
Jack
invalidated. So that is your qualifying session done. Lewis Craig.
We got Mike Noon first. He's about to cross the line. He goes into 8th, and Dan Morris come round the final corner, but he's invalidated.
That is your lot, as we see that Lewis Craig is on pole position with an 18.3. Neljak will round out the front row on an 18.7, and then Wet Lemons is your top 3 on an 18.8. So, just going to give you a full rundown of the results now, but it's pole for the Red Bull driver of Lewis Craig here in Australia. That's one way he wants to start the season off, starting from the front and taking charge from there. So Lewis Craig on pole for Red Bull, followed by Neljak in second place in the Ferrari. Then we've got Wet Lemons in third in the Alpha, Wheelnut in fourth, Chris Johnson in fifth, and Bazza in sixth. Then we've got Sayer Sports in seventh, Mike Noon E38 in eighth place, Parser in ninth, and Blair Grills rounding out the top 10. M. Shep in 11th, Jack Kagan 12th, Dan Morris in 13th. Then we've got Poop Cannon, Kaya, Jacko, and Mr. John, and Angel versus Death, all not getting laps in, all having instants during that qualifying session. So it'll be an interesting prospect, these 15 lap or so laps round this Albert Park circuit, Dan.
Well, indeed, I'm interested to see what Jack Craig can do in this race down in 12th. And I noticed he did spend pretty much the first half of the session on the medium tyres, so and then of course he invalidated at the end of this. He hasn't actually got a soft tyre lap in that session, so you have to assume he's quite massively out of position, Jack Craig. So we'll see what he can do as he fights his way through the field. Also interested to see what Jacko's going to do after crashing out in the session as well. But up at the front, can Lewis Craig maintain that kind of advantage he showed in that quality session and take the victory? We'll see, but let's hope it's going to be a close race. And of course, as usual for this year on this game, of course, with the rules now, it's a free tyre choice, of course.
Yeah, free tyre choice. So the drivers are getting ready to tackle these 3.2 miles of the Albert Park circuit for round 1 of the season in Melbourne, in Australia. As the 5 lights come on, 3, 4, 5 lights are on here in TGP2, and the lights out, and away we go. And it's a decent start from the front from Lewis Craig as well. He's got a strong start, but he's going to be challenged by Wet Lemons down the inside into turn 1. He just about sweeps across the front, gets the job done. Wet Lemons from P3 on the grid, and we've got a person out already. Bazza's out already. He's down and out. Wet Lemons in second, Neljak in third, as we finish off the first sector, Dan.
Yeah, it was a big crash there in the background with the Alpine and Bazza. He went flying up in the air. I saw it on the camera, but Parsons had a good start. Traditionally, he always gets a good start. He's up into 5th place. Wetlands getting into 2nd, but Lewis Craig managed to help keep the lead fairly comfortably, you would say. And off he goes now, and he'll try to build up a gap with Bazza. I'm sure will be absolutely fuming with that. Didn't quite see exactly how it all sort of manifested itself into happening, but it did happen. And Bazza's seas and sadly has started in the barrier.
Yes, as he has indeed, so that's not the way he wanted to start the season. But coming towards the end, lap number 1, Lewis Craig, Wet Lemons and Neljak got a clean start and looking to make some pressure. Neljak trying to regain that position he lost right at the beginning, Dan.
And Parser and Chris Johnson for 5th place here. Chris Johnson managed to get back past Parser and he keeps the position just about, but now Shep's all over Parser as well. This is a bit difficult. And Scott down Parser's around as well.
Oh dear.
You can see that coming.
He was synchronised spinning from the AlphaTauri in the Aston Martin. A bit of a disaster there.
And the other Aston spun. Blake Girls has spun as well.
Oh,
so
they're
terrible
all spinning.
few corners.
Yeah, it's not a good few corners for the Aston Martin team. But meanwhile, back up the front, Lewis Craig has got an 8/10 of a second lead over Wet Lemons as we are on lap number 2 now, Dan.
We are indeed. So yeah, so we've got Angel vs Death in the pit lane. Say Sports as well, also coming in to change his front wing. And a very slow Parser as well. He's now at the very back of the field. Had such a good start, then gets involved in that instance, and now he's at the very back, and his race is pretty much done and dusted. And he will be absolutely fuming with that, I imagine. But,
Jacko's gone for a spin. I was just viewing him on board because he was closing in on the man in front of him, and he's gone for a spin at turn number 5, Dan.
Disaster for Jacko, and Dan Morris has gone for a spin as well. And Jacko has just overtaken Dan Morris because of that. But I was watching the guys at the front here because Lewis Craig has not pulled away as much as I was expecting him to, thinking he might well do. Wet Lemons is still right there, half a second behind. And of course, DRS is enabled on the next lap, and he's got pretty much the same amount of energy as well.
Yeah, DRS coming into play from the next lap onwards. Wet Lemons still all over the back of the Red Bull of Lewis Craig, and Neljak just waiting in the wings. He is dropping back a bit though, slightly, and having Wheelnut dropping into the clutches of Wheelnut though, Dan.
Yeah, absolutely. And then he has a bit of a gap then to 2 seconds to Chris Johnson in 5th place, but that's of course around about where the instance happened earlier with Parser. Kaya, by the way, actually he's pitting now, but he was up to 11th place. I don't know if he's got damage or not, or if it's just a very early tactical pit stop. Perhaps it is. But in the pits, Kaya comes in, and it's the top 6 are on the soft tyres right now. The highest placed medium runner is Jack Craig in 7th.
Yeah, so yeah, there it is on screen for you at home, seeing what tyres everyone is on. As you can see, yeah, all top 6 on the soft tyres, 7th downwards on the mediums, and there's a couple of guys who have already made their stops. Meanwhile, Wet Lemons is closing in on the back of Lewis Craig through this sweeping section. No DRS on this section. He'll have to wait up to after the quick chicane down.
He is indeed, but if he can get a good run through here, he might be able to have a go with the DRS. Lewis Craig, well, they're both pretty much even through there, I would say, and Wet Lemons employs the DRS, but then immediately turns it off, realising he's probably not going to get close enough this time around, but he'll have a go down the start finish straight, although he runs a bit wide through there, as Wheelnut's gone for the spin. Wheelnut has gone for the spin at the chicane.
Oh dear, that's poor from Wheelnut. He's gone for a whip spin at the chicane. That's a disaster for him because he was running up in P4, Dan.
He was indeed, and now he's down into P10 then, and I think Mike Newman might have had a bit of a moment as well, but down to start finish straight, 6/10 between Lewis Craig and Wet Lemons, and Wet Lemons not really closing in down this straight. Oh, he missed the apex a little bit there. That's not a good run to have down into turn 3, and Lewis Craig should be comfortable for another sector at least, I imagine.
Yeah.
But somebody not comfortable is Magic Poop Cannon. I think it's Jack Craig just overtaking him. And
Poop Cannon is all over the back of Jack Craig. He's looking to the outside at turn number 3. He's going to sweep round the outside. Can he get the move done? He's got the inside for turn number 4. And that's beautifully done from Poop Cannon. The Ferrari man up a position. Jack Craig back down to P6.
Lovely overtake then by Poop Cannon and Jack Craig. He said we'll have to watch to see how much he progresses up the field, where he just lost a place there. And he is now then back into 6th place at the front. Wet Lemons, is he going to be lining it up once again? Then once again, Lewis Craig and Wet Lemons both have pretty much the same amount of energy. I think Lewis Craig might have took a bit too much curve there on the entry to the chicane. Wet Lemons, again, he's closer than he was last lap, but not close enough.
Yeah, not close enough indeed as he goes through this final sector. Turn 13, they've just gone round into 14, 15 and 16 to close out the lap before the next DRS opportunity. He's definitely within range of the DRS detection. Neiljack just too far back to actually get the DRS off the back of Wet Lemons, so it's just a 2-horse race in the DRS battle at the front as we see the DRS wide open on the Alfa Romeo now. Is he going to be close enough? Not quite into turn 1, but he needs a good run through here to make a serious challenge into turn 3, and that's exactly what he's going to do. He's going to be right on the back of the Red Bull driver, heading towards turn number 3. How defensive is Lewis Craig going to go? Very defensive is the answer, and there's a bit of I don't think that was weaving, but it was a bit sort of parking it in the middle of the road, I think is the best way of describing that, Dan.
Yeah, it was probably just stretching it just about there to the limit, but I think it was pretty much just about legal. But if he does it again, I imagine Wet Lemons will be very, very unhappy. Got very close there, didn't he? And there's Neiljack just behind, who will have been hoping those two would collide, but he's just got a 3-second penalty, so that's not good for him. Although it is 4.3 seconds to Chris Johnson 4, so he's still comfortable in 3rd for now.
Yeah, he is, and we're going to be having the pit stop starting any second now, Dan. Probably in the next lap or two, as we see the DRS wide open again on the Alfa Romeo.
Well, if I was Wet Lemons here, I think I would just do the opposite to Lewis Craig here. If Lewis Craig stayed out, I think this would be where I would come into the pit lane. But if Lewis Craig pits, you might as well go again and just try and set a really quick lap before pitting. And Lewis Craig, is he pitting? No, he isn't. But neither is Wet Lemons, so they both go again then.
Yeah, both go again. DRS going to be wide open again on the Ferrari, heading down this main straight here at the Albert Park circuit on lap number 6. Going into turn 1 again. He's not quite as close as he was last lap, is he, Wet Lemons? So it's going to be a bit more difficult down into turn 3. But he's still going to be closing, but not just going to run out of space, I think. Yes, he will. Yeah,
that was it. So I think that previous lap when Lewis Craig was just got the first couple of corners a bit wrong was a huge missed opportunity, really, wasn't it, for Wet Lemons? He really missed his chance there. Oh, and he's in, he lost the car, and he's got a penalty because he did track extend.
Yeah, big wobble coming through turn number 5 there for the Alfa Romeo. Runs a little bit wide, and unfortunately, because he was already on 2 warnings, that was his 3rd, and he's picked up his 3-second time penalty.
And Lewis, I just had a quick check, Lewis Craig is on 2 warnings right now as well, so he's not too far off a penalty either. But Wet Lemons, well, he's going to run wide again here. And again he nearly loses it. He needs those, his tyre's gone. Is he feeling the pressure? Does he need to pit? I would say yes.
Yeah, I think he's, by the way his car's acting on this lap, I think he definitely needs to come in the tyres and either getting too hot or they are definitely past their best 6 laps into this Grand Prix. As we see him peel into the pits this time, that's probably the right call considering what we've been seeing that lap.
Yeah, absolutely the right decision. Don't go break the speed limit now as well. Wet Lemons now, he doesn't do that. Good to see. Got Neiljack in as well then, and Chris Johnson. So 2nd, 3rd, 4th, all in the pit lane right now. And Inter Death is out the race. But if Wet Lemons can get some clean air here, we'll see what he can do on these medium tyres, because we have to wait for them to get them warmed up a little bit. But let's see. Wet Lemons comes out in 5th place and with 3-4, where he's got plenty of fresh space ahead of him, and we'll see what he can do on those fresh mediums, and presumably Lewis Craig will react to that on this lap.
Yeah, meanwhile, Neiljack has come out with Mike Noon all over the back of him. The 2 Devon boys having a battle for 7th and 8th, but Neljak has made his pit stop already, so he wanted to get away from the Alfa Romeo driver.
Absolutely, and we'll see if he can pull the gap then away there. Just watching Lewis Craig, who again had not really having many troubles, to be fair. I think it's been a fairly calm lap, and I would be really surprised if he does not come in the pit lane here at the end of this lap. It's the top 4 who are still yet to pit, and of course, as you say, Wet Lemons in 5th place, who will be hoping that Lewis Craig makes some sort of error, and in the pit indeed does come Lewis Craig.
Yeah, so let's see what he does. Of course, down to the speed limit, 80 kilometres an hour. Speed limiter is on, and the Red Bull mechanics are away. Let's see what the pit stop looks like. It's a decent stop from the Red Bull mechanics. And let's see where he rejoins compared to Wet Lemons. That is the crucial one. Wet Lemons just coming out the final corner, and Lewis Craig is at the end of the pit lane. So I think he's just about going to hold on. It's going to be tight, though. It's going to be very tight. I think Jack Craig is just about going to hold on, but Wet Lemons is going to have the speed. He's going to look to the outside. He's not going to quite. That was an ever-closing gap, to be fair, for Wet Lemons. But now he's going to stick it up the inside into turn 3. They're going to be side by side. And Lewis Craig's going to try and hold on around the outside. He's going to have the inside. Wet Lemons side by side. This is going to be dangerous into turn 5. One of them's going to have to back out, and Lewis Craig is forced to in the end, as Wet Lemons has taken the lead, the net lead of this Grand Prix. But Lewis Craig, I think he'll be frothing at the bit, wanting to get those tyres up to temperature and have a great battle with Wet Lemons.
Yeah, I mean, he managed to hold on longer than I thought he would there, to be fair, Lewis Craig, especially as you say, got to bring the tyres up to temperature. I thought Wet Lemons would have easily just got through there. He did touch at the exit of turn 2. Obviously, Wet Lemons was approaching so quick, and Lewis Craig just almost got in the way of him. But Lewis Craig, as you say, now he's on those fresh tyres by a lap. You would imagine he'd be able to close back in. Wet Lemons, of course, needs to pull at least a 3-second gap because of his penalty.
Yeah, he does indeed. Yeah, Lewis Craig, it was kind of an ever-closing gap for Wet Lemons on the exit of turn 2 there, but he finally got the move done at turn number 5.
Oh! Lewis Craig nearly in the barrier there, nearly doing a Schumacher from back in the day, and he's lost a bit of time after that, and Jack Craig is out of the race.
Yeah, he's binned it on the exit of turn number 2. It's a very easy mistake. I remember doing it last season, but yeah, that's where he's made the mistake, and he was running P2 at the time. He's probably going to be on for a top 5 finish, so that's a bit of a disaster for the Alpine man.
Yeah, he was on the medium tyres on the ultimate strategy, and as you say, disaster for him then, and he is out of this race. He's still got Poupcan in the lead then, but of course he has also started on the medium tyres, and he will be pitting very shortly. But well, after that little error by Lewis Craig at the final corner on the last lap, it's at 7/10 the gap now, so he's still going to have DRS on this lap, Lewis Craig, but it's a bit more comfortable for Wet Lemons, I suppose. Although just looking at the energy here, Wet Lemons on 8%, Lewis Craig on 51%, so not only has Wet Lemons got a penalty in terms of time, he's also got, you could almost say, an ERS penalty as well, certainly an ERS deficit, and he nearly lost the car as well, didn't he, there at the exit of the chicane?
Yeah, as we see Lewis Craig in the Red Bull closing on the back of the Alfa Romeo driver. This is the best battle on the track as Magic Poupcan has entered the pit lane. Closest battle on the circuit, and it just happens to be for the net lead, so that's what you want in your racing, isn't it, Dan?
It is indeed, yes, and Poupcan then in the pit lane, and we'll see what Poupcan can do. He should have a fairly strong finish this race, of course, on the fresh soft tyres. As Lewis Craig now into the first corner, is he going to have a bit of a run? Now it's a good exit, a brilliant exit back from Wet Lemons, and pulling away, and Lewis Craig won't get anywhere near him there, as Mr. John also coming into the pit lane. Poupcan out in 4th place, and he's got 3.8 seconds to his teammate Neljak, who of course has a penalty as well, so possible podium might be on the cards here for Poupcan.
Yes, it will be indeed, as we see Poupcan is, 3.5 seconds behind Neljak at the moment, but we're riding on board the Red Bull still, as he's still keeping up with the back of Wet Lemons, and he's not going to be able to make a move into this fast chicane, but he's wanting to close the gap, ready for the DRS zone on the exit.
There we go then. Oh, just a little tap of the wall there, Lewis Craig. I don't think that would have done any damage, and again, just managing to keep hold of the car on the exit of the chicane. He's using his ERS. He's using his ERS. He's going to go for the move now. Oh, late on the brakes. He's going to both see you get through the corner first. It's Lewis Craig, and in the end, it was a sweet move. I have to say, I was not expecting him to go for it at that moment, but he did. And he's getting the lead now, and let's see if he can build the gap. He's already knows Wet Lemons has got the penalty. Oh, no!
Oh, dear!
Well, I'm not sure how to judge that because it looked like Lewis Craig made an error, didn't he? And Wet Lemons immediately seized the opportunity, sadly for him. He tagged the side of him.
I think it's one of those racing things. Lewis Craig did make the error. Wet Lemons went for the move up the inside, but the gap was always going to close. I think he'd been better off maybe lifting off slightly there, Wet Lemons, slotting it behind despite the mistake and having a proper run at it down towards turn 1. But that's just my opinion on the matter.
I totally agree with you. But I mean, sometimes, you just see that error creep in. You just think, oh, here we go. I'll just go for it. I might as well just slide and have a go now. But I don't know. I feel for Wet Lemons there. I really do. I do feel for him there.
No, he's going to have to regroup, dust himself off. He's currently in P5, so still not a bad result for him. But he needs to dust himself off. A second behind M-Shep. But any chances of the victory has gone, and probably a podium as well.
Yeah, absolutely, and especially, of course, he's got the 3-second penalty as well, but he's got Shep ahead of him who's got a penalty, and also Chris Johnson behind him has also got a penalty. In fact, Shep's got 6 seconds worth of penalties, so he's in a 4th place right now, Wet Lemons. It's pretty difficult to catch up to Poupcan though on those fresh softs. He's closed in on his teammate Neljak.
So we see here on lap 11 of this race, Lewis Craig has picked up a time penalty himself, but it doesn't matter so much now. He's got a 5-second lead over Neljak, who's also got a penalty. But the things are closing in with the Ferrari drivers. Magic Poupcan on those soft tyres will be looking at a P2 finish.
He will indeed, but I was just wondering, do you think maybe Wet Lemons might want to take that to the stewards instead of Lewis Craig?
I mean, I think he could take it to the stewards. Meanwhile, Neljak has just let Magic Poupcan go there.
I thought he was going to do an Alonso there and just go straight into him. It's such approaching so quick.
I think Magic Poupcan was caught off by surprise there, the fact he lifted so early. I think that just caught him completely off guard. But it's a swap around at Ferrari, Magic Poupcan up into P2, and he's going to try and chase down Lewis Craig, but I think he's going to run out of time on that one. So we move back to the battles further behind. It's Chris Johnson and Wet Lemons battling for 5th and 6th.
And Wet Lemons has just got another penalty as well, so he's actually behind M-Chef now. Chris Johnson's in a net 4th place right now because Wet Lemons and M-Chef both have 6 seconds worth of penalties. In fact, M-Chef now has 9 seconds worth of penalties.
Yeah, the penalties are racking up in this battle for P4. To go back to your earlier point, by the way, of Wet Lemons, do you think he's going to take it to the stewards? I wouldn't if I was him, because I think it would just go down as a racing incident, in my opinion.
Yeah, I do tend to agree with you on that, but Neljak still within a second here of Poupcan, and of course Poupcan would only have to close in by 2 seconds because of Lewis Craig's penalty, but I think those soft tyres, he's probably took a bit too much out of them now for him to make that kind of gap up.
I mean, it's not out of the question. He's what, 1.8 outside of the cut-off window he needs for the 3-second penalty, and it is closing still, and he's got what, 2.5 laps. I think that's doable for a victory for Magic Poupcan, and we'll have to keep an eye on that. Meanwhile, the battle further back is definitely heating up in this battle for 4th place on the road.
It is indeed, yeah, but Lemons knows that he's still going to finish ahead of M-Shep, but of course if he can get ahead of M-Shep, he might be able to build a gap from Chris Johnson, and if he can build 3 seconds, he'll finish ahead of Chris Johnson. So is this a good opportunity now for Wet Lemons to go for it? He could have used the DRS and might have been able to get the move done there before the chicane, but he'll have to follow him through this chicane, and then he will use the DRS and go
it's a
for
spin!
it.
Magic Poupcan's binned it!
Oh, he's getting for a wing as well!
That's a disaster. All he had to do was keep it on the road, keep the pace up, and he's made a mistake, and he's thrown away a podium and a potentially really good result for Ferrari, and Wet Lemons has passed M-Chef in all that as well while we're looking at the spun car of Magic Poupcan, and Wet Lemons back up into P3. So, just as we were saying, the podium chances are gone. Poupcan bins it, Wet Lemons overtakes M-Shep, and suddenly he's back on the podium.
And Poupcan hasn't pitted. He's going to do the final lap with no front wing. And
he's got 2 laps to go.
2 laps, yeah. Sorry about that. Yeah, very true. 2 laps. I mean, I suppose he knows the drivers ahead of him have the penalties, don't he? But still, I think it's going to be pretty difficult to try and get any sort of extra position. He might get M-Shep, I suppose, if he can stay within 9 seconds of M-Shep. But we'll see. We'll see what happens on that.
Yeah, it's going to be a very difficult job for Magic Poupcan, and he's going to be an interesting one to see how much of a gap he keeps over Sayer Sports. He's currently got 7 seconds. Maybe that's the reason why he's not pitted, because he thinks he can hold on to the gap over Sayer Sports. But it'll be interesting to see how this one plays out. Meanwhile, Chris Johnson closing in on the back of M-Shep now.
He is indeed, yes. So Chris Johnson, again, it's a 6 seconds separating these guys in terms of penalties, so it's not an absolute necessity for Chris Johnson to get this move done. Although Poupkanen 2.1 seconds behind, although he'll lose a lot of time to reload through the chicane, and that time will everywhere. Although Say Sports isn't really closing the gap, is he? It's still around 6 seconds.
It is still around 6 seconds, so that's good for Magic Poupkanen as the leaders are coming onto the final lap. Got to see if Chris Johnson can do anything with the car in front of him as he's in the DRS on going on to the final lap. Now, Lewis Craig is on the final lap, I believe. He should be. I don't know why my lap data hasn't updated. Yeah, there we go. That's because I'm riding on board. Chris Johnson is looking to the outside at turn 1. This is going to be bold. Then wheel bag on the exit. This could end up getting a bit spicy. Chris Johnson on the medium tyres, looking to the outside of the Aston Martin, heading towards turn number 3. Squeeze against the wall. M-Shep holds on. He does the whippity-wop, flippity-flop. Chris Johnson up into P4, and that will probably be the end of that as we ride on board Lewis Craig. He's got half a lap to go. He's had some challenges in this race, but he's overcome them, and he heads towards his, well, I don't know if his first victory in TGP2. We'll have to check that. But he's definitely on for a victory today in Australia, round 1 of the season.
He is indeed. Just to say very quickly, Chris Johnson had to get that move done there at that moment because Wet Lemons was beginning to pull away and he would have actually made up 3 seconds on him. But Chris Johnson should do enough now to finish within 3 seconds of Wet Lemons and finish on the podium.
Yeah, so a couple more corners to go for Lewis Craig in the Red Bull. He's just got 1 corner left here at Albert Park. Turn number 16, the tricky corner, but he's coming across the line in Red Bull colours to win round 1 of the season. Lewis Craig does it for Red Bull. Eljak is going to come home in 2nd place for Ferrari, and Wet Lemons is going to finish 3rd on the road. Let's see him cross the line any second now. There he is, crossing the line. He finishes P3. Chris Johnson is going to go up into P3, actually, thanks to the penalties. So Chris Johnson gets a podium, and he misses out by half a second. Wet Lemons, after all of his shenanigans in that race, misses out on the podium by half a second.
And Poupkanen does indeed get the position on M-Shep, despite having no front wing, and Say Sports closed in, but it could only close in round about another 3 seconds or so. Could not actually close in and get past Poupkanen. So Say Sports 6, Shep 7, Wheeler 8, Mr. John 9th, Parser 10th after that spin at the start. It was looking so promising for him after the first few corners. And then Mike Noon's going to be 11th, but Mike Noon's got a 12-second penalty, although Kaya also has a 3-second one, so I think he will probably keep 11th place, just about.
Yes, Mike will just about keep 11th place. He's just come around the final corner now in the Alfa Romeo, and then we're going to have Kaya crossing the line with no front wing, and the other Alfa Tauri finishing in 12th place, but he'll get some points there. So only 12 finishers here in Australia. A bit of a race of attrition here for the first round of the season. Hopefully we won't see the same for the next race in Brazil.
Yeah, so I think it's a really deserved victory there for Lewis Craig. I suppose there was that brief moment when he came under pressure a little bit from Wet Lemons after the pit stops, but yes, he made that error and it sort of caused Wet Lemons to make the error as well. But as I say, I don't think it's going to go any further with the stewards, and it is a well-deserved victory, but Wet Lemons will seriously want to get some revenge as well.
Yes, he will do indeed, as we see Lewis Craig celebrating on the podium here in TGP2, winning round 1 of the season and getting his season off to a flyer here at the Albert Park circuit in Melbourne. We head on to Sao Paulo next, the Autodromo Jose Carlos Pache in Brazil for round 2 of the season. 18 laps around that circuit, around that 2.6 mile circuit. But here is the full results from the Australian Grand Prix, and it is a victory for Lewis Craig in the Red Bull, followed by Eljak in 2nd and Chris Johnson rounding out the podium in the McLaren in 3rd. Wet Lemons in 4th, had a bit of a disaster class of a race, but ends up with a P4 still. Magic Poupkanen held on with his broken no front wing for 2.5 laps and finishes in P5. Then we've got Saya Swartz in 6th, M-Shep in 7th and Wilnut in 8th. Mr. John in 9th. Parser rounding out the top 10 in the Alpha Tauri. Then we've got Nooney 38 in 11th. Kaya in 12th. And then we've got the non-finishers, Dan Morris, Jack Craig, Angel versus Death, Jacko, Blair Grills and Bazza, all retirements from this race. Bazza didn't even see it past the first corner. A bit of a disaster there for the Alpine man. As we head into round 2 of the season, the Sao Paulo circuit. What are your thoughts going into that race, Dan?
I'm really looking forward to it. It should be another cracker, and something quite retro about the first 2 races of the season being Australia and then Brazil. Quite like how that's fallen, but yeah. So we'll see what happens in this next race. Then we had a good race around Brazil yesterday in TGP1. I'm sure it's going to be the same here in TGP2, and again, it'll be interesting to see where these guys shape up in the order. And of course, it's a very short track, Brazil, and qualifying always seems to be incredibly close, so I'm sure that will also be well worth watching.
It will be indeed. So get ready to go for round 2 of the season at the Sao Paulo circuit. So we've got Wet Levens looking to make a bit of a comeback. He had the pace to challenge Lewis Craig for the victory in Australia, but a few mistakes here and there, a few misjudgments from the Alfa Romeo man meant he only came home with a P4 finish in the end. But he's got time to make that up. There's still another 19 races in the season, and as they say, anything can happen in TGP, and it usually does.
Absolutely, yeah. So we're just having a look at the calendar this season then in TGP2. As you say, next week you've got Portugal and Spain for rounds 3 and 4. Then we've got USA and Saudi Arabia, Canada, and then Monaco on March the 1st. And Monaco is going to be a night race, by the way, as well, which should be fun. And there's a week break, but then we're back on the 15th of March with Netherlands and Belgium. And then we've got Abu Dhabi and Bahrain, Singapore and Italy on March the 29th. Austria and Hungary on April the 5th. April the 12th, China and Imola. And then the season finishes with 2 classic circuits at Suzuka and Silverstone for round 19 and 20 on April the 19th. And there's going to be 3 races this season with the safety car. Portugal next week, Abu Dhabi and China. So those 3 races will have a safety car, the rest of them will not.
Yep, so important things to hand out there. Also, Austria and Hungary in the same night. It's like we're going back to, what was it, pre-World War One? Was that? The Austria-Hungary? They used to be one big country, the Austro-Hungary Empire.
Maybe that's why I said it like that, Austria-Hungary.
Yeah, that's the thing that popped into my head as soon as you said it. I was like, oh, we're going back in time a bit here. But yeah, it's a very interesting calendar indeed. Of course, there's more tracks on the game on F1 22, but a vote was taken before the season. We're going to keep the calendar to 20 races, which I personally agree with. I think any more than 20 races in real life in an F1 season is too many. So I personally agree that happy to keep it at 20, and there was a vote to remove some of the races. So we've got France, no Azerbaijan as well, and I think there's one of Mexico, that's it. No Mexico either in the game. So few races missing as we see the drivers heading out into start this qualifying session and get some banker laps in, Dan.
Yeah, absolutely, and of course, I have to say, because there's a short track, you can pretty much get 3 or 4 runs in here pretty easily. You can get 4 runs in if you want to just go for out lap, hot lap, in lap 4 times. You can do that, although of course you will want to possibly start on a fresh set of tyres for the race itself, so maybe not the brightest idea, but anyway, we'll see. It's a nice sunny qualifying session that it looks like we've got in store. We didn't have a weird scenario that you had yesterday in TGP1 where they were saying that it was going to rain 5 minutes into the qualifying session, and it never did, and then it said it was going to possibly rain for the race, and then it never did, and we didn't get any rain at all. But certainly not going to get any rain, it looks like, in this qualifying, and we'll see if we can put the first lap on the board. I think traditionally, as usual, it's Kaya who's the first guy out of the pit lane, and I think he's going to be the first to start a lap.
Yes, he is, but we're going to ride on board.
No, he won't, because he's gone on the wall. He's gone on the wall as he was warming his tyres.
He's done goof there. That's kind of embarrassing for him, to be honest. Seeing him doing that, he's crawled back into the pit lane and probably into the fetal position after that, as you see Magic Poop Cannon down through the ZRS and starting his flying lap now. He'll be the first driver to actually take a flying lap through turn number 3 and through towards the Decido del Lago turns 4 and 5 now, Dan.
Absolutely, yeah. Let's see what he can do then. Nice on the throttle, really nice on the throttle there by Poop Cannon. As then you can get ready now for this long right-hander. You have to just be fully committed through here. Really brave. The car can swap ends here on the exit, and so Poop Cannon just came off the throttle a little bit there to prevent that. He's gone a bit deep into there, hasn't he? That's going to tighten the line through the left-hander. That's not good. He will have lost some time through there. Breaking for this right-hander. I forgot to call names, by the way. I apologise.
Yeah, that was Bico de Pato. He runs wide at the exit of Bico de Pato and through Mergelo and heading towards Shun Chao now.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think Poop Cannon will be a bit disappointed with how this lap was sort of played out in the middle sector, because he was looking really strong after the first sector, and he just go flat out through here now. You can sort of take the shortest line if you want by cutting this. There we go, the pit lane, running across the green patch there, across the line. Poop Cannon's first lap is a 109.2. I have absolutely no doubt, though, that he will improve on that later on in the session.
Yeah, as we see other guys out. Wet Levens, what's he going to do on his first flying lap? DRS is wide open in the Alfa Romeo. He's hoping to do better than he did last race, and he goes provisional pole with 1 minute 9 dead.
So yeah, good lap then here, left then for Wet Lemons on the board, and Jack Craig goes on a 109.1. So we've got 109.0, 109.1, 109.2 right now, and then Wheeler on a 109.5, and Angel Race Death on a 125, but I'm sure he will improve on that. We've got Neljack and M-Chef have decided to go out on mediums for the early runs. Oh my god, M-Chef.
Oh, that's a big spin for M-Chef.
Before, there was a McLaren who had spun just behind, or just ahead of them, and I think it reset the track. It might have put M-Chef off a little bit there, so can't say I blame him on that. And of course, he's also on the medium tyres as well. So he's got away with it though. No damage done. No. Oh, he spun again, but again, no damage will be done, and he'll just have to get back to the pit lane.
Yeah. Meanwhile, we're watching Bazza on his soft tyres in the Alpine, currently 17th in the session, but he's one of the drivers that hasn't set a lap. Meanwhile, I think Angel versus Death went and took a trip to Buenos Aires halfway through that lap, and that's why he's on a 125.1. As we see Bazza go to a 109.4.
Lap then by Bazza. Gets right there into the top 5, as you say. See further down, is this got Dan Morris about to come and finish a lap right now. I noticed he set the fastest lap in Australia, but he did have a few spins as well, and he goes into 7th place on a 109.546. So yeah, close as you would expect for Brazil so far. Top 7 separated by half a second, and still got pretty much nearly half the field who are still yet to actually set a lap.
Yeah, Mike Noon's invalidated as well, so he won't be doing a flying lap. Passer out on an out lap. Kaya, after his embarrassing spin, he's also out on an out lap as well. I think everyone else is kind of on in laps now, ready regrouping themselves for another run in this session. We've got about 12.5 minutes to go, so plenty of time for at least 2 more runs, wouldn't you say, Dan?
Absolutely, yes. So just if sorry, I was just got slightly distracted by something. Let's just say that Leeds have scored quicker than it takes to set a lap around here so far in the match tonight. I've just noticed, but sorry, slightly distracted. Yeah. But anyway, I tell you who else has got distracted: Jack Craig, who's just spun on the pit lane exit there, and has got front wing damage. So he's come out the pit lane, he's gone straight into the wall, and he's surely going to have to just come straight back into the pit now because he's got front wing damage. No point setting a lap.
Yeah, that's a bit of a disaster there for Magic Poop Cannon. Magic Poop Cannon, Jack Craig. Getting my car's confused. I'm riding on board with Magic Poop Cannon. He's on an outlap now and hoping to improve after his poor middle sector on his first attempt.
Yeah, so let's see what Poop Cannon can do this time round then. And as I say, we saw his first lap, and you would absolutely imagine that he's got a lot of time to find in that car. And we'll see what he can do then. He'll be so disappointed that he had that spin in Australia. He'll want to make amends for that in the second race of the night. That's the good thing about having 2 races in one night. If you goes a bit wrong in the first one, you know that you can hopefully try and fight back in the second one, and you don't have to wait a week for the next events as McLaren coming off the pit lane, but that won't bother him. He's got a pass ahead of him as well. Hopefully, has to get out of the way. He's slightly down in the first sector, but not massively. But this is the sector where he knows he needs to find a time.
Yeah, it is. That middle sector is the problem last time. He's going into Ferradura now, and it gets nicely round that, sweeping into turn number 8. And he's into that nicely as well. And then into Pedorino, heading towards Bico de Pato, where it's where he made the mistake last time, Dan. Bico de Pato.
It was indeed, yeah. And as he goes through here now, again, just a little bit wide, isn't it? It's just a bit of understeer. Again, he will have lost a bit of time, not as much time as earlier. In fact, actually, he has. Look at that, he's down.
Yeah, he's still down.
Still down on his lap time. So that's strange. It certainly looked like a much more clean lap. He definitely lost time through there, though, because like I said, he could quite clearly see the understeer.
Yeah, he's failed.
He's failed out of it, yeah. He's going to decide to pit, so that hasn't gone too well if he's planning. And as we said, as we predicted, Jack Craig has indeed come back in the pit lane after hitting the pit wall on the pit exit previous lap. Wet Lemons, meanwhile, though,
yeah, he's a
10th and a half up.
Yeah, 10th and a half up in that Alfa Romeo as he heads toward Bico de Pato now. Let's see what his Sector 2 time is. The Sector 2 line is just after Murgelo, which is this sweeping left-hander that you're always accelerating through. It's downhill as well, and he's up by another 10. So he looks to be improving on this lap, Dan.
Oh, he does. Oh, he has to be so careful on that curve there. If you take too much of it, the car just spins around. And I thought for a second that was what was going to happen to Wet Lemons, but it didn't. And he's going to take the shortest run to the line. Yes, he is indeed. It's tight up against the wall there. And he gets into the 108, first car into the 108 in this quali session. And that's immediately followed by Lewis Craig, just a few hundredths behind.
Meanwhile, Joe Sayer is on a flying lap. He's had a purple middle sector. He's 3 temps up. Let's see what he can do. Can he be challenging Wet Lemons and Lewis Craig? No, he can't. He has a poor final sector. And that's only him up into P4 there.
It's a shame there, isn't it, for Serge Sports? Didn't see the lap, but yeah, it sounds like he would have been over for a little bit more based on how that lap was going. Got Dan Morris in 8th place, who's on the medium tyres. So surely at this stage of the session, you want to
Jacko goes pole.
Jacko goes pole, and it's a very quick lap as well.
That is a very quick lap. That is a barnstormer of a lap. A 1 minute 8.3. That's almost TGP1 pace, isn't it? I didn't watch the stream last night,
yeah.
so...
No, I think it is quite. It's certainly very quick. Actually, I might have a quick check to see what the lap times were yesterday in TGP1. But yeah, that is a quick one.
Yeah, I'll let you do that in the Liverpool data centre, and I will carry on with this qualifying session as we see Lewis Craig coming on and in lap. Jack Craig invalidated Sayer Sports. I don't think anyone's actually on the flyer at the moment. Bazza's just winding up for a flyer, is he? Yes, he is. Bazza's winding up for a flyer in the Alpine, so let's ride on board with him.
The lap by Jacko would have put him 14th yesterday, so it's not absolutely, not totally incredible TGP1 kind of pace, but still a very quick lap and still much quicker than anybody else so far in this session, and that will have certainly woke up all of the guys up, I imagine. Yeah,
that would be respectable in TGP1, I think I'd say.
Yeah, definitely, for sure.
As we see Bazza on his flying lap in the Alpine, currently P8, he's currently about second off pole position, but that's thanks to Jacko's barnstorming lap. He's about half a second off the front row of the grid though, so that would probably be his aim at the time being, won't it, Dan?
Yeah, surely it will be. It'll just be he'll see Jacko's time. Maybe he'll think I can't match that just yet, but yeah, let's see if I can at least get a front row out of it. Oh, he's going to spin.
Well, he's definitely not going to be matching it now.
Yeah, that's what I think you mentioned, didn't you, when you go through there, you always build them up to speed, but sometimes the car can just think, no, I can't do that, and round it goes. He did well to save it, to be fair. He didn't do it wasn't a total spin, but it was enough of a spin to totally ruin his lap time, obviously, but he's still got 7 minutes to go to improve. Coop Cannon is about to improve, I think. He's only marginally, again, he's only a few hundredths up.
He is only a few hundredths off there. As you see, Mike Noon going through. Murgelo, what's his time going to be? He's 2 temps down, so he's not really improving. Poop Cannon's in the pits. Jack Craig, I think, is on a flying lap. I can't.
Yeah, yes, he is. He is on a lap. Yeah. He might get into the 108 here. I don't think he's going to trouble Jacko's time. He might be able to trouble Wet Lemons. Wheelnut goes into second place with a 108.4, so it's now a Mercedes 1-2 flying in Brazil, much like they were in real F1 last year. as Jack Craig does just slightly beat Lewis Craig by 3 thousandths.
Yeah, he does indeed. So Jack Craig just ahead of his brother now by 3 thousandths, like you said. So a battle in the Craig household for 4th and 5th on the grid, but they'd want to be further up the grid. 1-2 at the moment, though, for the Mercedes drivers, as Will Knott has popped into 2nd place. As we're having a bit of a lull, everyone's getting ready for their final runs in this session, Dan.
Yep. Yeah, 6 minutes to go, and as you say, yeah, this is where...
Well, I say there's a bit of a lull. Sayer Sports is out on a flying lap as we speak.
Is he? Is he about to start it?
Yes, he is.
Yeah. Sorry, my timing was a bit different there. It was coming up with all different numbers. Thought he was on a lap, but yeah, now he is definitely on a lap. Let's see what Sayer Sports can do then. As you say, you mentioned he was on a good lap last time round, but maybe messed it up slightly in the final sector. Let's see if he can improve on it this time round then. It's a decent first sector. He's nearly a 10th up already.
He is, as he heads through towards Ferradura on this lap, turn number 6 on this Sao Paulo circuit. Gets around Ferradura. He misses the apex slightly, but hits that second apex and in towards this tight and twisty middle sector, and he's invalidated.
Yeah, took way too much curb there, and the corner cut penalty was inevitable there, I would say. And now he slowed down to let some of the cars through, although I think they're both on outlaps. Yeah, they are. Yeah,
everyone's on outlaps kind of now, apart from him, and I think M-Shep may be on a flying lap. Yes, he is just starting a flying lap. M-Shep actually in that Aston Martin with about 4.5 minutes to go in this session.
Haas is also struggling to get a lap in here. He's just invalidated again, so 4.5 minutes to go, and Haas does not
what is that Haas doing?
What's happened?
Well, I was just watching M-Shep on a flying lap. He's still improved by 10.5 and gone purple in the first sector, but he nearly got wiped out by one of the Hasses on his lap.
Angel versus Death it would have been, and Angel versus Death has now gone spinning as well. So didn't see what happened, but doesn't sound like a great move by him there.
No, it nearly was the death of M-Shep, I think, is the best way of describing it.
Yeah, Jacko is also starting a lap time now then, but who else is further round? We've got Lewis Craig is a 10th down.
Okay, so Lewis Craig 10th down. He's just entering that middle sector now. But we're going to keep an eye on M-Shep actually, because he's just about to finish his lap, and he's 7 tenths up on his previous best, which would put him right in the mix for P3, P4.
It would, yeah. I think he's going to get into the 1 minute 80 here. He is indeed. Yes. And look at that, fantastic lap.
There you go, 1 minute 8.7. But Lewis Craig is flying. He's gone purple in that middle sector. He's just got the final couple of corners to go. They're not really corners, it's completely flat in an F1 car, heading towards the line now. What's he going to do? He's going to cross the line, and he goes up into P4.
So still quite a fair way off then, isn't it?
And Jacko's improving.
That time, and he is indeed. It's 51%. So yeah, he's up. And let's see, he may even get a distant tow here possibly from. Is that an Alpine just ahead?
It is.
We'll see what he can do.
He's improved.
Yes, improves to a 108.282 then, and that is such a good lap time by Jacko, and I can't really see anybody else getting near that unless they put in the lap of their lives in these closing couple of minutes.
Yeah, Poopcat just starting a flying lap now. He's currently down in P8. There's a few drivers coming out, just emerging from the pit lane as well to start their final runs. Wet Lemons on an outlap, Wheeler on an outlap. Is Jack Craig going to come out again and do a lap? That is the question as well. Poopcan has gone purple in the first sector.
I tell you what, look at Lewis Craig. Lewis Craig's 4 tenths up here. He's improving again.
Although, he's not got the airs.
He's not got the airs. He has it for 3%, and this is going to be a massive disadvantage. He will be losing time here as he comes across the line. He will probably still improve, and he does improved to a 108.6. But if he had some more energy, he would have been flying down the final straight and could have possibly troubled the top two.
He definitely could have. Meanwhile, Magic Poopcan finished at the end of sector 2. What's his time going to be? He's 5.5 tenths up on his previous best. That would put him right in the mix as well.
It would indeed, and again, he hasn't really got a huge amount of energy, but he certainly had more than what Lewis Craig did. Crosses the line, then about to cross the line, engages the DRS, shortest runs the line. We'll see how much Poopcan can improve. He improves him into 5th place.
Yeah, Will Knott is on a flying lap, I think, as well. Yes, he is.
Yeah. I don't know if Lewis Craig behind him is on one. I assume he's not. No, yeah, he's definitely not because of the lack of energy. Yeah.
So Wilnut through Bico de Pato. What's he going to be? His sector 2 time. Can he get near his teammate? Needs about 10.5 to make up. And he's going to have a decent run of hers. He's a little bit down, but he has got the run to the line. It's doable. I say, he's invalidated. So that's it.
That's a shame for him. And a minute to go.
Wet Lemons.
There's no point going for another lap, is there, at this stage? Just say Wet Lemons. I think he was slightly down in the first sector. Wet Lemons.
Still slightly down.
Again, slightly down.
It's still doable though to make it up in this final sector. It's not a massive margin. It's only 18 thousandths he was down as he goes heading towards the line now. Can he make up the difference? Has he got a car trimmed out for the straight line? Can he improve? No, is the answer. He does improve lap time, but doesn't improve position.
Yeah, so 6th place for him then. Have we got anybody else improving?
Jack Craig's just starting a flying lap.
Jack Craig's just starting a flying lap. Yeah. He's about to cross the line here. Yeah. Oh, yeah, he is. Yeah, you're ready. Yeah, let's see what he can do then. 20 seconds to go. He's going to be one of the very last to cross the line. I think Neljak just behind him will be the last to cross the line.
Yes, he will. But yeah, so Jack Craig heading towards the end of sector 1 now. His teammate could have helped him out a little bit more there and given him a bit of a tow, but here's none the wiser. He's 4 thousandths up in that first sector.
Good first sector then for Jack Craig, and it's just gets almost a bit worrying when he gets to this time of the session and you see cars all ahead of you, knowing that they're not on laps. Just hope and praying that they'll get out the way. But actually, he should have a clean run now for the rest of the lap to the line. Just watching Neljak behind as well. Oh, he's missed the apex massively there. I don't think Neljak's going to improve, but Jack Craig certainly can.
He will be. Jack Craig heading through Murgalo. What's his sector 2 time? He's a 10.5 up, so he's going to be putting himself a little bit further up the grid. He won't be challenging for pole, but he'll probably put himself maybe about 4th, 5th, I reckon, with this lap time.
Absolutely, yeah. Of course, it's not a huge amount of time you can gain at this final sector, unless, of course, you've got very low downforce. Let's say he across the line, Jack Craig. He goes up into 5th place.
Right, what's Neljak doing? He's had a poor sector 2, to be fair, so I don't think he's going to be challenging anyone.
Got the energy.
Yeah, cross the line, stays in P10. Bazza's on an in lap, so that is your qualifying session. So Jacko is your pole sitter, and it makes it a Mercedes front row, Dan.
Yeah, I don't think anybody was expecting that, really, was he? So after Jacko's horror show, really, in Australia, where he's spinning all over the place, he is back at the top of the timesheet where he likes to be, and he will be on pole then for this race in Brazil, and he's going to have his teammate right alongside him.
Yep, so just waiting for Wet Lemons to retire from the session, and then we can get on with the race. So come on, Wet Lemons, you know what to do. There you go, like he heard me. As we here have the full rundown of the grid for the Brazilian Grand Prix, Sao Paulo Grand Prix I should say now, as Jacko is on pole from Wilnut in 2nd place, making it Mercedes front row. Then we've got Lewis Craig, the winner last time out in Australia, gets P3. M. Chef in 4th, and then Jack Craig in 5th. Then we've got Magic Poop Cannon, Wet Lemons. Dan Morris had a lot better time this time out in Brazil compared to Australia and gets himself up into P8. Sayer Sports in 9th, and Neljak in 10th. Then we've got Bazza, Nudie 38 in 12th. And we've got Blair Grills in 13th, Adrian versus Death in 14th, Chris Johnson in 15th, and then Kaya, Parser, and Mr. John all not setting laps. And that is your grid for the Sao Paulo Grand Prix. So getting ready to go for 18 laps round this circuit, the Autodromo Jose Carlos Pache in Brazil. 2.6 miles. What are your thoughts going into this race, Dan?
Well, I'm really looking forward to it. I mean, look at that top 10 separated there by 7/10. I think this is absolutely game on. So I have to say, I am reassured that after that quality session, that Lewis Craig doesn't have a huge gap over everybody, because I thought after Australia maybe it's going to be a bit ominous, especially after his qualifying performance. But yeah, certainly very close this time around. And Lewis Craig, of course, he will still want to try and make it 2 wins out of 2 though on the 9th only, but he will have to try and get past both of the Mercedes.
Yes, that is indeed something we need to look out for as we get ready to go, get the final preparations and getting their pre-race oranges in, ready to go for round 2 of the season, Dan.
Absolutely, yeah. So just having a look at the tyres, just noticed that Lewis Craig's tyres have just switched from mediums to softs, so it looks like he's going to be starting on the softs as you get ready for the start.
Yes, we get ready for the start. 1 light, 2 light, 3 lights are on, 4, 5 lights here in Brazil. It's lights out and away we go here. And it looks like a poor start from Jacko on the front.
Oh.
That's a disaster of a start. Wheelnut's taken him. Lewis Craig has taken him. Jacko's already down into 5th place. That was an awful start for the Mercedes man from pole position. And he's just tumbling down the order. Wheelnut in the other Mercedes. Great start. He's now into the lead of the race. Lewis Craig, winner in Australia, up into P2. M. Shep in P3. Jack Craig in 4th. And Jacko's all the way down in P5.
Oh, he's not going to be happy with that, is he? A terrible start then for Jacko. I say, already down to 5th place. Lewis Craig then makes up the position to 2nd, but Shep is right on him. Shep has got a great chance of a great result in this race, and he's had a decent start as well, making up that position after Jacko's shocker. So, meanwhile, in fact, Jacko has lost 4 places, and he's pretty much the worst guy to lose places, apart from Poop Cannon, who somehow was down at the very back. Didn't quite see what happened there, but Poop Cannon has had a shocker.
Yeah, he's a long way off the back of the field now. But M-Chef, I've just looking at it, is on the soft tyres. The 2 guys in front of him both started on the mediums, Dan.
Yeah, so the game was obviously lying to me, and Lewis Craig was indeed on the medium tyres. So, yeah, I mean, yesterday in TGP1, there wasn't many drivers who started on the medium tyres. We've got a huge amount here in this race, and Shepard's actually the odd one out almost in terms of the front runners. It's going to be really, really interesting to see how this plays out then. And what Shep can do is Wet Lemons side by side with Jacko. Jacko going to lose another position here. Jacko's going to try and fend Wet Lemons off. Wet Lemons will want the position, but Jacko manages to keep fair.
Yeah, he keeps hold of the position for the time being. Meanwhile, further up the field, Lewis Craig closing in on the back of Wheelnut. I don't think he's going to be quite close enough to make a move into the Cedo de Largo this time round on lap number 2 of this race. But that was a cracking opening lap and a poor start from Jacko.
Yeah, and Poop Cannon has come into the pit lane, by the way, so it must have been some sort of contact. It's a huge shame for him, and he is at the very back of the pack then, sadly. Got another yellow flag out here as well. Angel versus Death. Looks like he's gone for a spin. But meanwhile, at the front, we've got the top 3 very close together, top 4 very close together, in fact, and a bit of a gap to Jacko, 2.5 down. He's going to be so annoyed. He put in all that effort, setting a brilliant lap in qualifying.
Oh dear!
Oh, Shep's spun! Oh, what a shame.
That was a disaster. He's on the grippiest tyres as well, so
yeah.
He's the one who's had a spin at Bergalo on the grippiest tyres. That's a bit embarrassing for him, I would say.
Here comes Lewis Craig then. Is he going to go for the lead here?
Oh,
Can he get
he's
a
spinning
run
again
on Wheelnut? He's going to have DRS enabled as well down into the next straight. And is he going to line it up? They both got the same amount of energy, but if Lewis Craig can use the DRS
further back, Jacko's had a wobble with the centre S. Wet Lemons right round the outside of him, heading towards the Rayo de Posta, and it's all stacking up behind Jacko now.
Lewis Craig's going for it on Wheelnut. Wheelnut just about manages to fend brilliantly, puts his car in the right place, and Jacko and Save Sports are side by side as well. It's all happening.
It's all happening. You don't know where to look. You need about 4 different cameras on the screen at the same time. They're side by side. It's Noah's Ark heading towards Ferradura for the battle for 5th, 6th, 7th and 8th. And meanwhile, Sayer Sports has got Jacko. Jacko having a disastrous race and is continuing on lap number 3 as he's all the way down in 6th place. The soft runners are swallowing him up and eating him for breakfast.
The way it's going, Neljak nearly had him there as well. I think Neljak had to back out almost because he was going to run into it, pretty much pushing him round the corner. So Jacko having an absolute shocker. And he's on the medium tyres, but then of course the top 4 are also on the medium tyres and they're not having as many issues. So Jacko is just unexplainable.
Meanwhile, up the front, Lewis Craig is going for a move round the outside towards the centre S. It's lap number 4. What's the move going to be? He's going to get that done. Yes, he's got the move done. Wheelnut's going to try and have a stab at him back up the inside. He's going to try and maybe get the move done again in towards Retta de Posta and in towards turn number 4, the Cedo de Largo. But I don't think he's going to be quite close enough. Is he able to make a move? No, he's not quite. I think Lewis Craig has got that.
Oh, well, it's key now that Wheelnut does not let Lewis Craig pull away. He had a lot more energy. I thought he was going to go for it. What's happening?
Oh, it's still kicking off again around Jacko.
Jacko losing more positions.
Yeah, he's down into P9 now. He's been passed by Dan Morris in the Haas. Mike Noon's past him. Dan Morris heading down the inside of Mike Noon, giving the old hip and shoulder to Mike Noon. And Mike Noon is not afraid to give them back as well. So it would be interesting to see what happens.
Noon on Mike Noon, yeah.
Yeah, a full-on Mike Noon move on Mike Noon. That was very interesting.
Back ahead. Wheeler is back ahead.
Oh, we
didn't see what happened.
Neither did I. I was looking at that battle for P4. You don't know where to look in this race.
I think he might have run a bit wide, possibly than Lewis Craig, but he's going to butt us. It might play to his advantage because now he'll have DRS and he'll be coming straight back at Wheelnut.
He will be looking to the outside at the ZRS. They're going to be side by side. Wilnut holds on to the inside, and Lewis Craig is going to have to wait a little bit longer to make that move again. He's going to have to wait onto the red poster and see what he can do, but he's going to have DRS wide open on the Red Bull. He's going to look to the outside, try and go round the outside of Decido De Largo. Is Wilnut going to do the Verstappen on him? No, he gives him the space on the exit, and Lewis Craig is going to have to drive the long way, but he's going to have the inside into Ferragura, and I think that move is done. Yes, it is. Lewis Craig back into the lead of the race, and that has made his brother Jack Craig in the Alpine is now all over the back of Wilnut as well.
Yeah, he's came right into play now, hasn't he? Well, fantastic, brilliant battling between those two there. Fair racing, fantastic stuff. You love to see it. Brilliant.
Meanwhile,
and,
still
Jack Craig right coming into play now as well, as you said.
Yeah, meanwhile further back there's been more dicey positions. Jacko looks like he's picked up a place again finally. He's overtaken Mike Noon, but we can't take our eyes off this battle at the front.
Jacko and Mike Noon nearly touched, and Mike Noon somehow managed to save it, although Baz is now right by him as well.
You don't know where to look in this race, there's too much going on.
Bazza is going to get the move done on Mike Noon now. Yes, he is. Is there any moves going on at the front? You've got Neljak on Say Sports for 5th place. These guys are both on the soft tyres.
Yeah, Wilnut is closing in on the back of Lewis Craig once again. He's going to have the DRS. I don't think he's going to be quite close enough into the Decido De Largo this time round. No, he isn't. I think he's going to have to settle behind for another lap. I can't believe it's lap 6 of this race already.
And Say Sports is going to get back now at Neljak, is he? Into turn 4 around the outside. This will be a lovely move, and it is a lovely move. And Dan Morris is right there now as well. And not much energy, Neljak, right now.
Yeah, Dan Morris looking all over the back of Neljak. He's going to stick it up the inside.
Lovely.
That was a ballsy move from Dan Morris. He's not afraid to get his elbows out, as we've seen already. And he's done it again, and he's up into P6.
Brilliant stuff. I mean, he was another one who was struggling quite a bit in Australia with spins and everything, but he is right in play in this race, and he's on the medium tyres. That's the commentator's curse for you. Dan Morris has now gone for a spin, and that might be race over for him now in terms of things.
Yeah. Meanwhile, back at the front, Wilnut half a second behind Lewis Craig. He's going to close. He's going to have to try and keep with him through the ZRS and realistically go for a move into turn 4. Oh, that was very close. A little bit deep. That's ruined his run through the ZRS, and I don't think he's going to be making a move this lap.
Yeah, and it's an opportunity now, isn't it, for Lewis Craig to breathe a little bit and maybe try and pull away slightly. Although Wilnut does have nearly 30% more ERS than Lewis Craig at this stage. And of course, let's not forget that these guys are not going to be pitting for quite a while.
No,
we've got another 5-6 laps really in this.
Yeah, not going to be pitting for a little while in this race. Loads of drivers starting on those medium tyres. Let's just have a quick look if I can get the detail up. No, it's that's one. Where is it? I found it. There we go. Yeah, Saya Sports and Neljak are the only drivers in the top 6, in the whole top 10, top 15 even, that are on the soft tyres. Everyone else on the mediums.
Yeah, it's really quite surprising. I think Poop kind of starts on softs, but he pits the first lap and you know he's on the mediums. But yeah, certainly the top 12 who have not pitted, it is only Say Sports and Neljak on the soft tyres, which I am amazed about. But we'll see how it plays out then. And again, it's those two guys on the soft tyres who are the closest on the road. But then Say Sports is actually going to be the first driver to pit, and you have to be so careful. Burgos gets a penalty. Well, Lemons has also got a 3-second penalty, by the way. You have to be really careful on a pit entry here, because there's the two white lines, and it's the first white line that you need to be under the speed limit. But if that catches you out, you will get a penalty.
Yeah, I hate circuits like that, because Singapore, which is, I believe, on the calendar later in the season, is one of those circuits where it's the second white line rather than the first one. So it's very easy to misjudge at some of these circuits, and this is one of them.
It is indeed. So Say Sports, we'll see if he gets out in. Yeah, look at that. Lovely space there for Say Sports, where he's going to be able to push on those fresh medium tyres, and that could help him a lot in this battle with Neljak, and possibly getting up towards the likes of Wet Lemons once the pit stops have been made for those guys, for some medium tyres who will be pitting for quite a while yet. So it's almost like things have calmed down slightly now, isn't it, at this stage?
I was just about to say that. It definitely has calmed down, which is, I like my spicy racing, but that was a lot, that first 8 laps.
It was indeed. It was a lot of spice. But as Neljak also comes in, and he's immediately reacting to Say Sports' pit stop.
Meanwhile, Jack Craig just as we were saying, it's calmed down. Jack Craig all over the back of Wheelnut, looking for P2 in this race. He's got to go to the outside of Decido Delago. Wheelnut just about squeezes him to the outside. Is he going to try and get him on the exit? He's not going to be able to do it, and Wheelnut holds on for the time being.
Almost the Craig 1-2 then, but Wheelnut managed to hold him off for the time being. Got a yellow flag out, and Mike Noonan has spun. So we're just watching Neljak coming out the pit lane now, and Say Sports is just ahead of him. So Say Sports stays just ahead, although of course Neljak will be on those fresh tyres by 1 lap.
Yeah, meanwhile riding on board with Jack Craig in the Alpine, getting closer and closer to the back of Wheelnut. We're about halfway through this race now. Of course, these guys probably won't be pitting for about another 3-4 laps, wouldn't you say, Dan?
Yeah, I think it was lap 12 I pitted yesterday when I started on the medium tyres, so yeah, still a few more laps for these guys to try and get through before they can have fun on the softs. Here comes Jack, but Daniel P. Wheelnut into second place and making a Craig 1-2. He's going to try again around the outside. Can Wheelnut fend him off? Yeah, good defensive stuff by Wheelnut.
Yeah, meanwhile,
that's not good.
Meanwhile, I've just realised I had the comments on in the chat, so if you want to post, you can do that underneath this stream. Sean-Luke Taylor saying, if Mike can spin like that at Buckball, that'd be grand for everyone.
Jack Craig going for second place on Wheelnut, and this time, third time lucky for Jack Craig. He makes the move and he's up into second place. Can he chase down his brother?
Yes, he can. That is the question we're all asking. Can Jack Craig catch his brother? It's a Craig brother 1-2, but can Jack get the better of his other brother, or will Lewis Craig make it 2 wins in one night?
We'll find out then in just a moment, but Wheelnut isn't want to let Jack Craig get away, but it was that crucial moment, wasn't it, when Wheelnut had that wobble at the first chicane, and it allowed Lewis Craig to pull away, and he hasn't really looked back since. But we'll see if his brother can catch up to him as start lap 11, Lewis Craig in this race. Wheelnut will have DRS on Jack Craig on this lap, but actually Wheelnut decided to make a pit stop.
Yeah, Wheelnut is in. He's the first of the medium runners to make a pit stop in this race. Jacko's finally sort of recovered and settled down in this race. He's up into P5 currently. Just got Bazin running a little bit behind him as it stands. So that's settled down from that point. As we see where Wheelnut comes out, it'll be interesting to see where he comes out compared to the likes of Sayer Sports and Neljak, who pitted a lot earlier.
I imagine he'll be ahead. But they have had those fresh tyres for a while. Yeah, he should be quite comfortably ahead.
Yeah, he's comfortably ahead, actually. They're just entering the centre S now. I can see on the mini-map as we see Wheelnut exiting the pit lane. So let's see what he can do, and let's see whether Jack and Lewis Craig respond to this early pit stop from Wheelnut.
Yeah, I mean, so what was that? That was the end of lap 10, wasn't it? Yeah, as I said, I pitted the end of lap 12 yesterday. So it is early. It is an early stop for going on the mediums to the softs. And he'll have to try and get to the end now on those soft tyres. So we'll see if any of them will he react? Will Jack Craig fancy reacting, or is he sort of focusing on his brother now in this race?
Yeah. Well, Lewis hasn't. I can see that. He's just past the pit lane. Let's see what Jack does. Neither of them have reacted. They're staying out a little bit longer.
And Wet Lemons also.
Yeah, so they're thinking maybe those softs won't do the 7 laps to the end.
Bazin coming in. Bazin in 5th place though. He's decided to come in. So is Chris Johnson as well. Dan Morris continues on then. So Bazin and Chris Johnson in this time round.
Yeah, Bazin and Chris Johnson. We're just going to have a look at Lewis Craig. He's had a stellar performance in Australia. He had some pressure from Wet Lemons, but again, he's had a stellar performance here in Sao Paulo, Dan.
He has indeed, but still a few laps to go. Still another tyre set to go. We'll see how it plays out, but yeah, he had a bit of pressure early on in the race, didn't he, of course, but I think it also helped that Jacko had such a shocker of a start.
Yeah, that was an appalling start from Jacko, just wheel spin galore, drops, 4 or 5 places, and there's a spin, I'm guessing, for
Mike Noonan. Yeah, I have a feeling he might have a bit of rear wing damage after that, so good luck driving that car to the finish.
Yeah, meanwhile, is the guy, Lewis Craig is in.
He is indeed that race leader coming into the pit lane.
Jack stays out.
Jack Craig decides to stay out, so he's only got 3% energy, Jack Craig. I think he's, it's quite a big gap, isn't it, to Lewis? He might have to hope that Lewis makes some sort of error. But anyway, there's the pit stop.
Yeah,
and where
Wheelnut's just gone for the pit exit now. He's passing the pit exit now. Lewis Craig is just coming off the limiter now. Wheelnut's just set the fastest lap of the race. But I think Lewis is going to be clear. Yes, he is.
Yeah, he is indeed. But showing just what those soft tyres can do there. But Lewis, well, look at this. Lewis comes out just behind Dan Morris. Now, this might be a bit of a help for Jack if Dan Morris holds him up.
Yeah, it could be definitely a help for Jack in this race. Wilnut has closed the gap slightly. It was about 3.5 seconds before the stop. It's now down to about 2. So he has definitely closed in, having those tyres an extra couple of laps. But will it be enough? There's a spin and a yellow flag in sector 2. Not entirely sure who that was for.
I think it's Mike Noon again.
It's Mike's retiring from the race. As we see Lewis Craig coming through the Murglow corner now, and he's right behind Dan Morris as Jack is in.
Jack pits, and so does Wet Lemons. But so he has been behind Morris for this entire middle sector, which will not have helped him. But of course, now he will get a big benefit because he'll be able to use DRS. As I thought he was going to make that a bit difficult there, Dan Morris, but he makes the move, and he's going to look at that. He's using a bunch of VRS as well. He's going to have so much speed there down the straight. That'll probably be facing the speed trap, I imagine.
Just looking at the map as well, it's going to be Wilnut ahead of Jack Craig. So Jack Craig back behind Wilnut once again in this race. So staying out that just a little bit too long, I think, there.
Yeah, but of course, Jack Craig's going to have the far, far fresher tyres now, isn't he? So you have to imagine he's going to be all over them on the closing laps of this race.
Just looking further back, Sayer Sports, who pitted earlier, he's doing the opposite strategy to most of the field, right behind Wet Lemons on those medium tyres. So Wet Lemons on those soft tyres needs to get temperature ASAP.
Yeah, absolutely. If Sayer Sports can just stick with them around the area, he might be able to have a go down the straight. And Wet Lemons nearly losing the car there as well, so he hasn't totally got them up to temperature just yet. But it's 1.4 seconds from Lewis Craig to Dan Morris. Dan Morris, of course, still yet to pit. Yellow flag's out, and Jacko's spun. He's got no front wing.
So his disastrous day continues there for the Mercedes van. Great qualifying, started on pole, but it's just gone backwards. It reminds me of Kevin Magnussen's race here last year.
Yeah, what a terrible night all round really for Jacko as well. Of course, if you remember the pole race in Australia is also not the start to the season that Jacko would have wanted, and he will be wanting to come back next week and get some solid results.
Yeah, well, the field is kind of a bit spread out at the moment. Sayer Sports and Neljak just about keeping together, just about holding on to the back of Wet Lemons at the moment, but Wet Lemons on those soft tyres is probably going to start pulling away any minute now.
Yeah, you would imagine so, but just having a look then at penalties, obviously a 3-second penalty there for Wheelnut. So Jack Craig is 2.8 seconds behind Wheelnut. So right now, Jack Craig is actually in second place because of the 3/10. And Wheelnut's also on those old soft tyres as well. So you would imagine Jack Craig will probably have that position on Wheelnut, unless of course Jack Craig goes and gets a penalty himself. But Wet Lemons is actually gaining on Jack Craig here as well. Shame that he also has a 3-second penalty.
Meanwhile, Neljak is actually closing in slightly on the back of Sayer Sport. He's definitely going to have DRS up this main straight. And is he going to be closing? It is going to be able to be close enough to get moving in the centre S. Don't think it's going to be the centre S. But if he can close the gap up enough, he can maybe have a move into turn 4 down.
Yeah, it's just... Oh, he's got it on the grass there.
Well, he won't be doing that now then.
Yeah, I think he wants to take a nice swooping line through there, but it took it a bit too far, went on the grass and lost a bit of time.
Yeah, the field is definitely spread out a bit now after all the chaos early doors where everyone was basically so stacked together and they couldn't get away from each other.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's 5 seconds the gap now that Lewis Craig has, and it's going to be much like what the Confessor managed to do yesterday. It looks like Lewis Craig is going to start off this season with 2 wins on the board, but he hasn't had it easy, certainly in the early stages of this race, but yeah, that's a pretty big gap now that he's beginning to build on Daniel Wheelnut in second place, but Jack Craig effectively in that next second, as you say, because of the penalty, as an AlphaTauri is spun, I think. Yeah, it's Kaya spun.
Okay, Kaya's spun. Meanwhile, Neljak, he's about the same distance as he was last lap to the back of Sayer Sports, going towards the centre S. So hopefully he'll be able to make it, try and work this time, close up the gap towards the centre S, which he isn't actually doing, and then go for a move into turn 4. Does he make the same mistake this time round? No, he plays it close, but actually gets around the centre S this time, gets a tidy run. Sayer Sports has picked up a penalty, so Neljak doesn't even need to overtake him on the road anymore.
Yeah, terrible time that for that to happen for Jose. He will not be happy, and yeah, now Jack will be smiling inside the car right now because he knows that he won't have to make too much of hard work trying to get past Ace Sports because he knows he's effectively got fifth place in the bag.
Meanwhile, further up the field, Jack Craig, he doesn't need to worry about the penalty as Jack Craig is all over the back of Wheelnut for P2 now, Dan.
Yeah, so Jack, of course, he will know. He'll be well aware that Wheelnut has the penalty, and Wheelnut nearly spinning there on the entry to the corner. That would have been an odd spin, but I wonder if Wheelnut tyres are starting to scream now. Do you think maybe on those soft tyres?
Yeah, they're definitely begging for mercy now, like Duffy would, as they come round the corner and heading towards for round DRS. DRS open on both cars as there's a lap car ahead. Wheelnut going to the inside. He's going to try to squeeze Jack Craig to the outside. Jack Craig round to the outside of the centre S. Wheelnut holds on, and Wet Lemons is lurking in the background as well.
He is indeed, yeah. Wet Lemons, who's also got the penalty here, so it will be Wheelnut and Wet Lemons, and effectively will be racing for position. But can Jack Craig get through? I think Wheelnut knows that Wet Lemons is right there, so he has to try and defend from Jack Craig as well. Jack Craig tries to go around the outside. He won't get through there.
Wet Lemons is going to sneak round the outside, possibly at Ferradura. Yes, he is. Oh, it's going to be so tight around Ferradura. They're going to be side by side. This is the last lap of the race as well, and this is battling for a podium.
He touched lightly and Jack Craig gets a penalty. So these are all race for position.
This is a complete race for position. 8 seconds up the road. Lewis Craig is going to take victory, but this battle is so feisty for the final couple of podium spots. Wheelnut on the oldest tyres. Jack Craig and Lemons pitted at the same time as they head towards the final proper corner on this track, and it'll be a long drag to the line. Wet Lemons is going to have the advantage, being at the back of the queue. Lewis Craig wins the race for Red Bull, but this battle for second is so tight. I think Wheelnut's going to hold on. Yes, he is. I think they're going to finish line astern, Dan.
Yeah, but where will Neljak finish? Because he doesn't have a penalty.
Oh, he doesn't have a penalty. He goes up to second.
Brilliant stuff for Neljak. He'll be delighted with that.
He goes up to second. So Neljak rounds off in P2. So after all that, there was a battle for third in the end, thanks to Neljak closing in and them lot scrapping.
Yeah, all kicked off at the end there, didn't they? Fantastic stuff. But there was a bit just before Jack Craig got that penalty. Jack Craig and Wet Lemons, he touched, didn't he? He was to go as he was going around Ferradura. I wonder if Jack Craig might be a little bit annoyed about that. Possibly one for the stewards, maybe. But yeah, that is the end of tonight's race, and then we've got Jacko about to cross the line. Dismal night for him, you have to say. Yes. In 13th position.
Started on pole, ended up 13th. That was a disastrous race from start to finish for Jacko after a superb qualifying session. And we're just waiting, I think, for Kaya to cross the line now.
Yeah, Kaya's gone full circle. He started the qualifying session by spinning at that exact position, and he's going to finish the race by spinning in that exact place that he's just done. And across the line will come Kaya for 16th place.
There we go, across the line. So yeah, an interesting night of racing, but Lewis Craig going back to back to start the season, that puts a statement down on the rest of the field, Dan.
It does massively, and everybody else will now know what they're up against, and they will know that he is going to be the man to beat throughout this season.
So the Red Bull driver steps up onto the podium. Neljak in second place and Wheelnut rounding up the podium. Then Wheelnut, Jack Craig and Wet Lemons will probably be annoyed at themselves getting the penalties and dropping positions, but Neljak will be sitting there laughing at them.
Yeah, he'll be delighted. He will be the happiest man. He's got a few extra prizes and an extra trophy to take home. And considering he starts in 10th place as well. Andy was
on the alternate strategy as well. He started on the softs.
Yeah, it's on the softs. Yeah.
So here is your full rundown of the result. Lewis Craig picks up the victory, second win tonight in the Red Bull, followed by Neljak in the Ferrari and Wheelnut rounding out the podium in the Mercedes. Then we've got Jack Craig in the Alpine, Wet Lemons in the Alfa Romeo and Saya Sports in the McLaren. Then we have Bazza, Dan Morris, Magic Poop Cannon and Chris Johnson rounding out the top 10. Mr. John in 11th, Blair Grills in 12th, Jacko in 13th and M. Shep in 14th. We've got Parson in 15th, Kai in 16th, Angel vs Death in 17th and Mike Noon rounding out the field in 18th. But that has been your 2 races in TGP2 season 33 tonight. What are your thoughts after them, and any takeaways going into next week?
Well, just really quick stuff from Lewis Craig. It looks like he really means business, doesn't he, this season? But I think now, Jack, he might well be second in the championship after tonight. In fact, I'm pretty sure he will be second in the championship only after his result in Australia as well. So, really good stuff for him.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye on the TGP website, and you will see the full standings in about an hour's time, I believe. So that has been your 2 races tonight in TGP2 from Australia and Brazil. We'll be back next time out next week for Portugal, where that race will have a safety car, and Spain. But any final words before we sign out, Dan?
I don't know, just have a good week, everybody, and yeah, it's good to have TGP1 and TGP2 back for this second round of seasons on the F1 2022 game. And yeah, we're all looking forward to next week. And Portugal especially should be interesting, considering I can't imagine many laps have been done by too many people actually on this game, because it was a late addition to the game, wasn't it?
It was indeed. It was one of the games added after the game was released. But though that has been your racing tonight, hopefully you did enjoy it, and we will see you next time out for Portugal and Spain. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.